I've never liked dolls. They're just so creepy. I've always felt uncomfortable around them, like they're watching me, plotting against me. I've also never been entirely comfortable with the concept of Santa Claus. An immortal creep who spies on children and breaks into their homes, eats their food, and leaves whatever random stuff they say they want as a bribe to keep letting him do it? No, thank you. So you can imagine my horror and despair when my parents brought home an elf on the shelf. Unfortunately for me, they had a very different opinion on Santa and Christmas at the time. However, I didn't want to upset them as they were trying to get me in the Christmas spirit, so I pretended to be okay with the idea and I kept my mouth shut. When my parents took it out of the box it was wrapped in, I noticed something was off right away. This didn't look like any elf on the shelf I'd ever seen. It had ghostly white skin, a glossy black outfit, and instead of having that sneaky, suspicious smirk, it had red eyes and a scowl. It was the creepiest damn thing I'd ever seen. When I asked where it came from and why it looked so creepy, Mom scolded me, saying it was sent by Santa to keep an eye on me and report back whether I was naughty or nice, and that I was being rude and naughty. They then forced me to apologize to the elf. After that, I just tried to ignore it. My parents, of course, did the whole moving the elf when I wasn't around and claimed it was moving itself thing, and it unnerved me every time I saw it in a new place. However, I did my best not to look at it and do whatever I needed to do. Eventually, Christmas Eve came. It was a mostly nice night, and I was really glad because the damn elf was finally gone and I could feel safe again. Or so I thought. Later that night, I was woken up to loud noises and my mom screaming. I hid and called 911. I waited for a long time until I heard sirens and the door being kicked down. I snuck downstairs and saw a man dressed as Santa Claus on the ground being handcuffed and my parents' blood-soaked dead bodies. The man was charged with invasion of privacy, breaking and entering, burglary, armed robbery, and 2 counts of murder in the 2nd degree, which he pled guilty to. I was put into foster care. Luckily for me, my foster parents are some of the kindest people I've ever met. They understood and didn't force me to do anything related to the holidays if I didn't want it. And I didn't for years. I often asked them what really happened, but they didn't tell me the full story until I was around 18. It starts with the elf on the shelf doll. It turns out that the elf on the shelf was a gift from our neighbor, a Mr. Archie Stevenson, that he claimed he made himself. That's why my parents were so adamant about using it. Although, as it turns out, Mr. Stevenson's reasons for giving my family the elf on the shelf wasn't exactly out of generosity or the spirit of giving. My family did very well for itself, and Archie heard about it. He'd never been in our house, however, as he wasn't someone my dad liked very much, so he started planning. The elf on the shelf he gave us was rigged with a hidden camera, and when my parents moved the elf around, they inadvertently gave Archie the layout of our house. So he tried to pick the lock, but got fed up and just smashed the window. This woke my mother and father up, who went to see what was going on, which made Archie panic, and he shot them. That was what woke me up. I eventually started celebrating the holidays again, but I don't allow any kind of dolls in my house. Thankfully, my current roommate respects and empathizes with me, despite being an action figure collector, and he keeps his collections locked up and out of sight. So if you're using one of those things this Christmas, you should shelf the elf, or better yet, get rid of it. After all, you never know who that elf really reports to.